It was Sunday, quiet, peaceful. I ran the same path I always do through the nice streets. Past the tall houses with flowers out front, my hoodie was damp from sweat, my legs felt light, I was in the zone. Then my shoelace came loose, I stopped near a small bench to tie it. That's when I heard her, "You don't live here, do you?" I looked up. A white woman stood with her arms crossed, mouth tight. I pulled out my earbuds. "What did you say?" She took a small step back. I said, "You don't live here. I've seen you running past my house every morning." I blinked. "Okay. That's not illegal." Her eyes moved down my body. I saw it. That looked the judgment. People are getting nervous. She said, "Nervous about what? A guy running?" She didn't answer, just reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone. "I'm calling the police," she said. "You're loitering." My chest got tight, lady. I stopped for 10 seconds to tie my shoe. She turned away and raised the phone to her ear. I took a deep breath, tried to stay calm. "You don't even know me." She spoke into the phone like I wasn't even there. "Yes, he's tall, black, wearing dark clothes, looks aggressive. He's standing near the park benches. Please hurry." I felt something sink in my stomach. My hands were shaking a little now. "Aggressive?" I said, "I haven't even moved." She didn't look at me, didn't care. She kept talking. "He keeps coming back every day, just watching houses. It's not normal." I stepped back. "I work for the FBI." I said quietly. She laughed. "Sure you do." I stared at her. My heart was pounding. A few minutes later, I heard it. The siren, red and blue lights bounced off the trees. A police car rolled up fast. The officer stepped out, hand already on his gun. He looked right at me, step away from the woman. I raised both hands. I didn't touch her. The woman pointed at me. "That's him. He's been casing houses for a week." My mouth was dry. "Officer, I can show you my badge." He didn't blink. "Keep your hands where I can see them." My heart was beating so hard it hurt. "Sir, I'm a federal agent." I said slowly, "Check my ID. It's in my right pocket." The officer hesitated. "Do not reach for it." He barked. "I'm not." I said, "You can take it yourself." He stepped forward, still watching my hands. He grabbed my wallet, flipped it open. Silence. He looked at the badge, then at me. The woman's face changed, confused, worried. The officer cleared his throat. "You're with the Bureau?" "Yes," I said, "and this is the 5th time this month someone's called the cops on me for running." He nodded slowly. "You're free to go." I looked at the woman. She wouldn't meet my eyes. I took a step toward her. My voice was low. "You didn't see a criminal, you saw a black man." She stayed quiet. I walked away. But that knot in my chest didn't go away, because next Sunday, I'll still be the same man, and they'll still see me as a threat. I raised my hand slowly into the air. "Sir, don't move." The officer shouted. His gun pointed straight at me. "I live just over there," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "I jog here every day." He didn't blink, didn't move. "The gun, do you have ID on you?" He asked from behind him. I heard Karen's voice, loud, scared, fake. "He got aggressive," she said, holding her phone like a shield. I feared for my safety. My heart thudded. I looked straight at her. "You really just said that?" I asked. My voice shook, but not from fear, from rage. She looked away. Another officer arrived, breathing heavy, hand already on his holster. "What's the situation?" he asked. The first officer nodded at me. He was acting suspicious. I stayed still, my hands still up. "May I reach into my jacket?" I asked slowly. "My ID is inside." Both officers exchanged looks. One nodded slowly. He said I moved carefully, no sudden moves. I felt the cold leather of my badge case, pulled it out. "Special agent in charge," I said, holding it up. "FBI?" Silence. Karen blinked fast, her mouth opened, then closed. "No," she whispered. "This has to be fake. He was acting. He was..." The second officer stepped back. "Sir, I apologize. We didn't know." The first officer lowered his weapon. "Sorry, sir, big misunderstanding. I didn't move. I didn't smile." "You feared for your safety, Karen," I said, eyes locked on hers. "What about mine?" She opened her mouth again. Nothing came out. "You called the cops on me for running," I continued. "You knew what that could have meant." I didn't mean. Didn't mean what? That I could have been shot? I asked. My voice was quiet now. That made it worse. I didn't recognize you," she stammered. "I wasn't asking for recognition." I said, "I was jogging, that's it." The second officer tried to smile. "We're just doing our jobs, sir. Are you?" I looked at him, because I didn't see either of you ask her a single question. His smile faded. I turned to the first officer. "Would you have pulled your weapon if I looked like you?" He didn't answer. Thought so? I said. Karen stepped back. I have to go. No. I said, you stay, you need to see this. I held my badge higher, let the sun hit it. Let them all see it clearly. This isn't new. I said, this happens all the time. You just picked the wrong one today. The first officer nodded. Eyes down again. Sir, we're sorry. I don't want your sorry. I said, I want change. I looked back at Karen. She looked smaller now, quieter. I feared for my safety. I repeated her words. You said that so easily. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't care. You should be afraid, I said. Not of me, of what you've become. And I turned, walked away, hands still shaking, rage burning in my chest. A soft knock came at my door. I didn't move at first. My body felt heavy, the kind of heavy that isn't from being tired, but from being done. Another knock. I slowly opened the door. It was Marla, my neighbor. She was holding a coffee cup. Like, that would make this less awkward. Her voice was quiet. Hey, I saw what happened out there. Are you okay? I stared at her. My chest tightened. Would you still ask that? I said. If I wasn't wearing this badge? She blinked. What? No, I mean yes. I'm just checking on you. I stepped back a little. Are you? She looked down like... Her shoes had all the answers. People are just scared lately. She said, you know how it is. No, Marla, I said. Tell me, how is it? She bit her lip. It's not you, you know that, right? I let out a cold laugh. That's the thing, it's always me. I jog down the street. People cross over. I walk into a store. Eyes follow me. I breathe. And someone thinks, I'm a threat. She shifted her weight, uncomfortable. I'm not like that woman. I raised my eyebrows. Aren't you? Marla shook her head fast. I would never say something like she did. But you didn't say anything at the community BBQ either, remember? When that guy made that joke about how fast I must run because I played track in college, Marla went quiet. I kept going. You laughed, everyone laughed. I stood there like I was the only one who didn't get the joke, or maybe I was the joke. She whispered. I didn't know what to say. That's the problem. I said no. One ever does, so you all stay quiet and people like me stay tired. Marla's voice cracked. I thought you were someone else, strong, confident. I am strong. I said, but even strong people bleed, Marla. She looked away. I felt my throat tighten, but I kept talking. You know what hurts more than hate? Silence. People I live next to every day who wave at me, borrow sugar, say hi at the mailbox, but never speak for me. Marla opened her mouth, then closed it again. Her silence screamed louder than anything she could have said. I shook my head. Slowly, you think just because you're not yelling slurs, you're not part of the problem. I'm sorry. She whispered. I didn't reply. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said. I know, I said quietly, but you did. There. Was a long pause. I looked down at the floor, then back up at her. I'm just tired, Marla. Tired of what? Tired of proving I belong, tired of explaining the same pain over and over, tired of pretending like your silence doesn't hurt more than their words. She stepped back slowly, like she didn't know where to stand anymore. Okay, she said, if you need anything. I closed the door gently before she could finish, and I stood there for a long time, not crying, just tired. I saw the footage, man. You handled it cool. Jason stood by my desk, arms crossed, eyes searching. I didn't look up from my screen. Handled it? I said, dry, shouldn't have to handle anything. He shifted awkwardly. Yeah. I know. Silence fell between us. The sound of keys tapping and phones ringing filled the office. But all I could hear was that woman's voice again. Don't come closer. Jason cleared his throat. Look, if that were me, I don't know what I would have done. You didn't even raise your voice. That's the point. Jason, I said, meeting his eyes. I knew I couldn't. He nodded slowly. I get it. No, I said, my voice lower. Steadier. You understand what happened, but you don't get it. You get to walk into a store and be seen. I get followed. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. For once, he didn't try to defend anything. The rest of the day dragged, but I pushed through it. Paperwork, calls, polite smiles like nothing ever happened. Then security buzzed my office. Someone's here to see you. Says her name is Karen. I froze. Send her in, I said, pushing my chair back slowly. The door opened. She stepped in like a child caught stealing. Same perfect hair, same cautious eyes this time. No screaming, just silence behind her. One of... Our guards lingered. She glanced back nervously. I nodded, dismissing him. What do you want? I asked. Voice cold as the room, she clutched her bag with both hands. I came to apologize. I raised my eyebrows. You needed an escort for that? I didn't know who you were. I stood up, slow and calm. Would it have mattered? She flinched. I was scared. Of what? I asked. The folder in my hand, the ID on my chest, or the hoodie on my back? She swallowed hard. I don't know. No, you do know. I said, you feared the hoodie, not the man. You feared the skin, not the behavior. She looked down. Her voice was barely a whisper. I didn't mean to, but you did. I was just trying to protect my kid. And you thought I was a threat because I looked like this. Tears welled up in her eyes. I didn't know. No, I said. Stepping closer, you didn't want to know, behind me. I heard movement. Jason was standing at the doorway now, watching Karen turn to him. As if searching for backup, he said nothing. She looked back at me. I'm not a bad person. I nodded slowly. That's the part that scares me most. She covered her mouth, shoulders shaking. I didn't come here for forgiveness. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I stared at her for a long time, not at her tears, not at her trembling hands. Just her eyes, the same ones that looked at me like I was a criminal in front of her kid. Then go, I said. She blinked. What? I heard your apology, now go. She turned and walked away. Fast. The guard outside followed her down the hall. Jason stepped in. Yeah, I said, sitting back down. She said, sorry. You gonna forgive her? I looked at the monitor. My reflection stared back in the black screen. I don't know, I said, but I'm not here to make her feel better. Jason nodded. You okay? I leaned back in my chair, exhaled slow. No, I said, but I will be. The clinking of forks faded as the tension thickened. Malik pushed his chair back a little and dropped his fork with a thud. Why are you even trying to educate her? Let them choke on their ignorance. I didn't look up. I cut into the baked chicken like it had insulted me. Because silence keeps this cycle alive, he scoffed. Man, come on, you still think they're listening? I have to believe someone is, I said, finally meeting his eyes. Otherwise, what's the point? Auntie sighed, not lifting her head. Baby, they only respect that badge. You take it off. You're just another black man. That one stung. She wasn't wrong, but it still stung. I am a black man. I said quietly, the badge doesn't cancel that, but it hides it. Malik snapped. That badge gives them just enough reason to act like you're different. You're not. We both know that. I'm not trying to be different, I said, pushing my plate away. I'm trying to make a difference. He laughed, but it wasn't amusement. You really think you're gonna fix this from inside the beast? I don't have the luxury of walking away. Luxury? His voice rose. You think I like sitting back and watching this crap happen day after day? You think I don't want to fight? I leaned forward. Then fight. With what? Lecture? A nullishly worded email? A prayer? He pointed toward me like I was the problem. You became part of the system that killed Trayvon, Sandra, Eric. You wear their symbol now. That's not fair, isn't it? He shot back. You? Think wearing that badge means you're immune to it all? That you get a pass? No, I whispered. It means I get a front row seat. He leaned back, crossing his arms. Then you're just entertainment to them. Auntie looked between us, shaking her head. Y'all stop. No, Malik said. He needs to hear this. I've heard it, I said. I hear it every time someone clutches their purse when I walk by. Every time I flash my badge and their whole attitude shifts. I hear it when I look in the mirror and wonder which version of me they'll see that day. The room went quiet. I stood up slowly, palms flat on the table. You think I don't know what I am to them? The clean black man, the safe one, the one they think is not like the others. I've heard that too, from their mouths, from yours. Malik looked down. Silent now. I didn't join to be their puppet, I said. I joined so I could see how deep the poison goes, so maybe, just maybe, I could cut it out from the inside. Auntie finally looked up, eyes wet but strong. You think the system will let you? No, I said. That's why I won't ask for permission. Malik swallowed hard. So, what, you're gonna be some undercover rebel? Wear the badge by day and protest by night? I'm going to be exactly who I am every damn day. I looked at him, a black man who survived this long without folding. Until they decide you're too loud. He said, too proud then what? Then I'll burn the whole thing down from the inside out. Auntie blinked. You don't mean that. I mean every word. I sat back down, the silence returned. But this time it wasn't empty, it was full. Heavy reel. Malik picked up his fork again, but didn't eat. I just don't want to lose you, man, I nodded slowly. Then stop fighting me like I'm the enemy, he let out a breath. It's hard when you wear the uniform of the enemy. I wear it so people like you don't have to. That stayed in the air a long time. Auntie got up, walked to the sink. This family's seen too much fire, don't forget to come home before you burn. I never left, I said, and for the first time that night, they both looked at me like they finally believed it. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as we sat around the long oak table, 15 of us, mostly white, a few brown faces, one black face. Mine. The division chief adjusted his cufflinks, then glanced at me like I was a minor inconvenience on an otherwise clean record. We want to thank everyone for their response during last week's incident, he said, voice smooth, hands folded like a preacher delivering a blessing. However, going forward, let's be mindful of optics next time. Maybe avoid jogging through private neighborhoods. It could prevent confusion. My jaw locked. I stared at him long enough that a few heads turned. You mean neighborhoods like yours? I asked. My voice steady but sharp enough to cut glass. Silence rippled through the room, his lips pressed into a line. That's not what I said. No, I said, leaning forward. It's what you meant. He looked away, clearing his throat. Let's move on. Of course he wanted to move on, sweep it under the rug. Pretend the real danger wasn't the white woman calling the cops on me, but the black man daring to exist near her hydrangeas. I didn't say anything else, not yet. Let them stew in it. The meeting droned on numbers, assignments, next quarter's PR strategy. None of it mattered. What mattered was how they flinched when I spoke truth in a room full of power. What mattered was how none of them had spoken up when it ended. I stood, buttoned my blazer, and headed for the exit. I didn't get 2 steps before Jason caught up to me. Hey, he said under his breath, falling in beside me. You really had to say that in front of everyone? I stopped. You wanted me to wait until what? Until I got reassigned? Written. Up? Fired? He shifted awkwardly. No. It's just they're nervous. This story's going public. Good. He lowered his voice even more. Be careful. People don't like uncomfortable truths. I stared at him. I'm not here to comfort anyone. I said, I'm here to change things. Jason sighed. Look, I get it, I do, but if you keep pushing like this, I cut him off, then maybe they'll push back, let them. His eyes flicked toward the conference room. They're powerful. I'm not scared of power, I'm scared of silence. I walked away before he could reply in the elevator. My reflection stared back at me from the stainless steel walls, clean-cut, calm, controlled. But inside, I was a storm, the kind that tears. Roots from the ground. They wanted me to stay in my lane, but my lane doesn't exist on their map. Karen had begged me to come. I think it would help if you were there, she'd said over the phone, her voice thick with guilt and something else, shame. Maybe I didn't answer right away. I should have said no, but something in me wanted to see what apology looks like in the daylight, not in hushed hallways or after-hours calls publicly. So I went to community center, smelled like old wood and cheap coffee folding chairs, a microphone stand, and people pretending to be open-minded. Or maybe pretending not to be scared. Karen stood up front, clinging to a stack of note cards she didn't read from. She sniffled, wiping her eyes with a tissue. I reacted out of fear, not hate. I didn't mean to. Fear and hate wear the same mask. I said, stepping forward before I could stop myself. Her head snapped up, the room turned cold. What? She croaked, barely above a whisper. You're not sorry for what you did. I said, you're sorry it followed you here. I'm trying to learn. No, you're trying to look like you're learning. That's different. A murmur spread. Some eyes dropped, others locked on me like I'd broken some unwritten rule, like truth was too much for this room. A man in the back, arms crossed, shouted, "This isn't about race." My feet moved before I thought my voice didn't shake. If it's not about race, I said, walking toward the front, then why did she describe me as threatening before I even said a word? Karen flinched. I didn't mean it like that. You didn't think at all. I said, meeting her eyes. That's the problem. She looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her. I didn't feel better. My hands were shaking. Not out of rage, but release. I'd carried her silence, her guilt. Her safety, I carried it through that street, through every whispered warning, through every closed-door meeting, and now I was dropping it at her feet. Someone in the front row coughed. Then a clap, just one soft hesitant, then another, a few more, then a wave. Not everyone clapped, not even most, but enough. Karen looked like she was about to cry again. I didn't move toward her, I didn't pat her shoulder or give her comfort. Because this wasn't about comfort, this was about truth, and truth doesn't always hold your hand. Sometimes it walks away with its head high. The lights felt hot against my skin. Not just warm, smothering. I could feel beads of sweat creeping down my back, but I stayed still. The journalist leaned forward, elbows on the table like we were old friends. She smiled, polite but calculated. Do you think being in law enforcement protected you that day? I met her eyes and didn't blink. It didn't protect me from her assumptions. She paused, scribbled something in her notebook. I could see the gears turning in her head, crafting the narrative. You were calm, she said softly, looking back up. That moment most people would have snapped. Why didn't you? My throat tightened. I didn't want to answer. But I did, because if I wasn't calm, I said slowly, I'd be dead. Silence, not the dramatic kind they love on TV. This silence was real, heavy, the kind that says, he just told you the truth and you don't know what to do with it. She swallowed hard. You mean that literally? I mean it every way it sounds. She shifted in her seat. The weight of my words sank in finally, then she cleared her throat. Final question. One everyone's been asking. Her voice dropped to a whisper, as if that made it more humane. Would you forgive her? I looked down at my hands. They were steady. I was proud of that. I let the silence sit between us for a beat. Then another. Forgiveness isn't the point, I said. Change is. The cameraman gave a tiny nod behind the lens, but I wasn't talking for them. I was speaking for me, for every version of me who stayed quiet, for the day I bit my tongue, for the time I let them pat my shoulder and say, don't take it personally. The interview ended, and I thanked them with a practiced smile, but inside, something cracked. Not broken, just released. Back at home, I peeled off my jacket and dropped it on the chair. My apartment was quiet, still, like it always got after something big. But tonight, it didn't feel peaceful. I walked to the dresser and opened the top drawer. There it was, my badge. It caught the dim light just enough to remind me what it once meant. What it was supposed to mean. I picked it up. It felt heavier than usual. Or maybe I just felt lighter. I thought about all the times I wore it like armor, hoping it'd keep the world from seeing my skin before my title, but it never did. Karen didn't see a badge that day. She saw a black man, and no amount of training or honor or oaths could erase the fear in her eyes. Before I even opened my mouth, I held the badge a little longer. Then slowly I placed it back and slid the drawer shut. I didn't slam it. Didn't lock it. Just closed it, because I knew that if I ever picked it up again, it wouldn't be to protect myself. It would be to protect someone else. I walked over to the window, the city lights blinking back at me like tired eyes, and in my mind, I heard my own voice. Not the one from the interview. Not the rehearsed one I used in briefings, but the real me. The voice I hadn't let out in years. The badge can't be the shield humanity has to be.